Now, let's get into the actual management of the task of feeding your baby a bottle. All right. Now would be a great time to download the feeding cues worksheet. And we're going to first cover the task of feeding your baby. Then we're going to go over the feeding cues so you have an understanding of those, and also feeding at night and scheduling and also burping, all of the associated tasks and what you need to know that goes along with feeding your baby. Okay? So, when it comes to feeding your baby a bottle, again, if you're feeding your baby formula, there's not much to know except the tasks on how to feed them, which we're going to cover, and also heating up the bottle. You know, that's a matter of microwaving it and heating it up. So it's really, that's on the easier side. So we're going to just cover what happens if we're dealing with breast milk, so you have an understanding of what's involved with feeding your baby a bottle of breast milk, okay? The formula-fed baby, it's going to be the same feeding process, although we need to discuss breastfeeding in case that is the case, okay? So when your woman starts to pump breast milk, okay, it's going to enable you or anybody else, mom, grandma, friend, nanny, anybody, to also contribute to the feeding process and give your baby a bottle. Now, some women decide they only want to breastfeed literally with the breast and not pump. Again, this is going to be a personal family, what her decision is going to be. If she does decide to pump, great, okay? You'll be able to contribute, and again, on the spectrum of breastfeeding, there are some folks who are like, only breast is best. Well, breast milk is best, right? Ideally, it's the best thing out there. However, again, it's going to be so much onto what she's willing to do, what she's into doing, what she's trying, what she'd love to do, your support. And if she did decide that she only wants to breastfeed the baby, great. So you figure that out. There's, it ultimately comes down to the peace in your home and what's going to work best for you. And helping her that's okay. You want to try that, baby? Great, let's try it. Again, being on the other side and hearing some of the stories of what's going on out in the world with women when they're trying to breastfeed, with social media and, them hearing all of this dogma and stories, and somewhat of our job is helping them to know that, number one, they're capable of breastfeeding if they want to, supporting them. And again, like, hey, babes, let's try not to listen to everyone else's situation. They're, again, hearing from this other end of what's going on in the birth world. Women today, a lot of our women, and look, it's easy to do, but they're comparing, their baby's doing this and their baby's doing that and she's able to do this and why can't I do it? And there's a lot of that, right? There's all this pressure. Again, we come in with our feet grounded on the floor and you're like, no, baby, let's just focus on us. What do you want? Let's, don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Let's focus on us and getting us centered and us doing what's best for us and our baby, right? I got to weave in the conversation here. A lot of women are going back to work and they want to get their babies on a schedule, and we're going to talk about scheduling. Again, you the dad, you the man. A lot of us feel like we don't have a place to say because we're not the one breastfeeding or we're not the one who carried the baby. You are relevant, okay? If you make yourself relevant by saying, hey, baby, not forcing yourself or forcing, your perspective and you really need to breastfeed, it's the best thing. No. Supporting her and saying, look, I didn't realize before how good breast milk really was, wow, amazing. Coming from that perspective, you're allowed your perspective on breastfeeding and if it's positive or negative or, Hey baby, maybe, you weren't considering breastfeeding and wow, maybe you do. I'll support you. Let's figure it out. Wow, I didn't realize how good it is for our baby. You have the right to have a say and be part of the conversation. And frankly, I think our women want us to be relevant that way, right? If you don't have a perspective at all, you're not really relevant. You're just there. So, it's okay to kind of, figure this stuff out. Develop your perspective based on, the content I'm sharing with you and the guidance I'm sharing with you and the other stuff that you read and see. Again, keeping it simple, right? Because, keep it simple is ideally the best. And also just the point of having a say, supporting her. And even if that, your relevance is helping her by saying, hey, let's figure out what's going to work for us. Very relevant, very empowering, to bring you two together. It's about you two, right? You two are the core. We like saying we're the nucleus, the mom, and that you're the nucleus, right? You hold it together. And the more you two are on the same page and, supporting each other through this process and being nice to each other, you're both growing here, right? This is new for both of you. And it's a pretty relevant time, right? And you, oh my gosh, are amazing for bringing this stuff and bringing, your skills to the table. The task of feeding. All right, whether you're formula feeding or she pumped a breast milk bottle, this is how it's going to work. All right. Actually, she pumped a breast milk bottle, and when she does start pumping, she's going to either be freezing. They have these little baggies, right, that they freeze the milk in, and milk is good in the freezer for up to 6 months. Okay. If it's going to be in the refrigerator, day and a half, 2 days-ish. Okay. Is good to go. So let's just say you are starting with a bottle of either frozen or refrigerated cold milk. The first thing that you need to understand is that you're going to want to feed your baby warm milk, okay? Now, it's important to recognize, feeding your baby a bottle of cold breast milk, it's not going to hurt your baby. Okay, I mean, there's nothing that it's going to do to negatively affect your kid. The main thing about feeding your baby a warm bottle is ultimately consistency. They are super used to a snugly warm boob, right? Especially if they're breastfeeding, and body temperature milk. So here dad comes along with this cold bottle of milk. They're like, what's up with this? This isn't exactly what I'm used to. I don't like it, right? So we want to be consistent. So off the bat, one thing we want to talk about is being skin to skin. When you're feeding your baby and in soothing, we're going to talk about this, one of the best, if not the best things that you can do. Really, from the first time you hold your baby, I feel very good saying even up to a year, okay? At least 3 months, 6 months. Whenever you're holding your baby, skin on skin. Skin on skin. It's going to help you bond. Skin on skin helps your baby regulate their body temperature, blood sugar, their breathing. It is such a powerful tool that you want to use it, especially as the dad, to increase bonding and help your baby feel safe and secure, right? They were inside. They're used to being skin on skin. Warm skin on skin, okay, is golden. It's a golden hero dad tool, okay? Okay, so when you're feeding the baby, always skin on skin. Getting the bottle ready, all right? Because breast milk has all these good nutrients, bacteria that makes it breast milk, all of the good nutrients in there, right? Breast milk is actually living tissue, right? It's living tissue, actually. So that's important because we want it to be warm, okay? And you can, but it will kill everything, microwave breast milk, right? So you and me as the dude, you know, our issue here is warming up this milk before we even introduce the bottle to our kid for consistency. And because we need to warm it up and we're not supposed to microwave it because it kills everything, then okay, what are we talking about here? We're talking about giving the bottle a water bath to increase the temperature so it's warm enough where it's going to be a smooth transition to you feeding them this bottle, right? With formula milk, you can microwave it all day long. It doesn't kill anything because it's not living tissue, okay? It's, produced in it's formula, okay? So this causes a little bit of lag time, right? Which we're about to solve. However, this lag time is often a very stressful time, right? So if we're in the phase already, we're part of the conversation where your woman is pumping milk and you're feeding them, and it's your turn to feed the baby. Okay, there's a lag time between hungry baby and you giving a bottle a water bath to make it warm enough to feed them. So especially in your house, and let's just talk about at night, during the day, yes, you're using the hot water. However, at night when the pipes are cold, this caused a major lag in time and a lot of crying and stress and anxiety that I was dealing with that we're about to solve for you here, right? So imagine it's 4 o'clock in the morning. It's your turn to feed the baby. You turn on the hot water. And just imagine how long it takes to heat the pipes up, to get hot water and hot enough to raise the temperature of a cold bottle up to body temperature. It's a big piece of lag time. That's how it went for me for our first 2 kids. And I got to tell you, it was really stressful time, right? And I was like, there got to be a better way, all right? And this is the way, the little system I created to help almost eliminate the lag time, all right? And this is how it is. When you're on duty, if you're at home during the day or at night, and you're going to be on the job contributing by feeding the baby, you always want to have a thermos of hot water on hand. Okay, a thermos of very hot water. Not boiling water, okay, because boiling water will also destroy all the good nutrients. Hot water, okay? And so how hot is hot, okay? You could either use Instant Hot, okay? The little Instant Hot in the sink, all right? Put it into the thermos. Don't seal it yet. You use the Instant Hot. Let it cool down for a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, let it cool down, then seal it up. Or let's say you're going to boil water on the stove the old-fashioned way in a tea kettle. It whistles, it boils, let it cool down, 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes, okay? Pour it in the thermos, okay? Or you could microwave water. So you're going to microwave the water, right? Bring it to a boil, let it cool, pour it in here, let it cool down, 3-4 minutes, okay? So it's still nice and hot, but it's not boiling, all right? And then you seal up your thermos. Now, what I'm going to show you works the same during the day. However, I'm going to show you, let's just say you're preparing for the nighttime. So you could have this ready to go anytime, and let's say you're going to feed the baby at night. You take the milk out of the refrigerator. Okay, this is what you're going to want to have on hand. A refrigerator bag, all right? You're going to have your milk in a container. Here's the milk, okay? And also an ice pack, right? So if you're getting ready to go to bed, you want to have your ice pack to keep the milk cool. Everything's in here, ready to go. You have your hot water. And you're going to go up to your bedroom or the baby's room, wherever you're going to be, where you're going to feed the baby. When it's your turn to feed the baby, you have everything you need to feed the baby, okay? So you get the nudge, hey babes, it's your turn to feed the baby. Excellent, no problem, okay? you get your milk, okay? You have your container here, all right? You put this bag down, and now your baby is either, we're gonna talk about feeding cues, so let's say it's super early and your wife recognizes that, the baby's stirring and starting to get hungry, and she's like, get ready, because you're gonna feed the baby. Or if the baby's crying and it's hungry, okay, either one of those circumstances, you'll probably find yourself in then both of those circumstances. Don't go to the baby first. Get your milk, put it in your container. Okay, daddy's coming, okay? They're sleeping next to you. Daddy's coming, baby, daddy loves you. You're gonna pour your hot water in here, and you're gonna get the milk steeping, all right? Now, close up your thermos, okay? Put it off to the side. Now, your milk is steeping. Get your baby and go and change the baby. The way that you just learned how to change your baby, go change your baby. Take your time, okay? And we're going to talk in scheduling that the nighttime isn't time to play and wake them up and everything. However, they do need to be awake to eat, right? Otherwise, they'll just nod off. So you change your baby, right? You get your baby and you're changing them. Oh, daddy loves you. I know you're hungry. Take your time, take 2 minutes. It takes about 2-3 minutes if you're taking your time. Undo the diaper, pull it out, clean them up. I know you're hungry, baby puss, okay? Then you take your burp cloth, right? You're gonna wanna have a burp cloth because they spit up a little bit, okay? You put it on your shoulder, your arm, you get Junior, okay. Now, if you took 2.5, 3 minutes to change the baby and you're connecting with them, okay? They might be crying a little bit, okay? Take the milk, shake it up to make sure there's no cold pockets in there, all right? And then check the temperature on your wrist. Okay, your wrist is thin skin and you're gonna be able to check the temperature. I'm here to say this wasn't even 2-3 minutes and this is pretty nice and warm, okay? The main disclaimer here is that this works. It heats the milk up really pretty fast. So check the temperature and listen, you don't need a thermometer. It doesn't need to be exact, okay? It's the middle of the night. It's nice and warm. If you feel like it's a little too cool, put it back in. Hey, I know you're hungry. Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you. Let them get going, right? Let them suck on your finger a little bit to get them. I know, baby, I know you're hungry. Okay? This works really pretty fast. If it was too hot, leave it out for a second. I know, baby puss, daddy loves you. Now, you feel like it's the right temperature. Okay, you shook it up. No cold pockets. Your baby's in your arm, okay? And you're gonna feed your baby. Now, you take the bottle, okay? You're gonna put it in their mouth. They ideally are at about a 45-degree angle, right? So their head is up above their tush. You don't want them laying down flat. Their head is up tall. You got them snuggled in, your skin on skin, right? So they feel connected to you, right? You have a blanket over maybe, so you're nice and snuggly, all right? Take your bottle, put it in their mouth, okay? And you want to be about 45-degree angle like this. What a good baby. Daddy loves you. And you're looking for... Excellent. And you want to make sure that there's, if you can, right, that there's no air pocket here, because that's a big deal, them sucking in the air. All right. Now, this is a perfect angle for you to be feeding your baby at. A couple things to avoid. You definitely don't want to be like this, force feeding them. This is the thing to remember about your baby and eating is that it's a little person and they are fully conscious of, they want the nutrients, right? So, it's not like a grown-up and a bag of potato chips where they're going to overeat, right? Because that's also a common question. How do you know when they're done? How much milk should they be eating? Okay, if you are using formula, you strictly just go by the formula on the formula can. And it's usually about, per pound of body weight to scoops, and you mix it up. When your woman is breastfeeding, she's going to be producing and pumping the amount of milk your kid should be getting at that time. So essentially you're like, hey babes, how much is the baby eating now? And it's going to change week to week. In the beginning, 1 or 2 ounces, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on your kid. We had big fat chunkaroo babies, so they were eating a lot. Look, in the very beginning, our first baby, 9 pounds, like 12 ounces. We had to supplement a little formula in there because she was so hungry before the milk came in. And that's another thing for you to be cool about, everything's gonna be cool, If your baby's super hungry, your milk didn't come in yet, you need to supplement a little bit. All isn't lost, right? Everything's gonna be okay. Staying grounded. Hey babes, everything's gonna be okay. If we're cool, everything's gonna be cool. Okay, so if you're cool, everything tends to be cool. So you got your baby snuggled in, you have your burp cloth, and you're feeding them, right? And just watch them, be here with them, all right? If they need a break and they kind of stop eating, give them a break. They're looking up at you like, hey, what's up, dude? Hi. You're like, hi little baby. Hi, my little baby, right? And then go back to feeding them, okay? Put the bottle back in there. Now, sometimes, especially during the nighttime, they might be super tired, right? Especially if you got them right at the end of their sleep cycle when they were waking before they started crying, and they're still a little tired. There's a few things that you can do to help wake them up so they can get their feeding. Okay, number 1 is you can rub their cheek. Hey, babes, hey. And also, you could take your finger and kind of rub it across their chest like this. It's stimulating, right? Just to kind of wake them up a little bit. And yes, you want to stimulate them a little bit. You're not looking to bruise them or anything, although we're going to talk more about physicality and, having a good sense of what's too much and what's not enough, what's too much, how to get that feel of physicality, okay? And you're going to rub over there, okay? Rub on their chest up in here. And they'll be woken up a little bit, okay? You can also tease them with the bottle on their lip like this. It's a good baby teeth because they have a sucking reflex, right? They want to eat. They know the food is how they are surviving, right? They have an instinct to eat. So, tease them on their lip like this, put the milk on their lip. It's you, what a cute little baby. Okay, and they'll start like that. You could get a cold washcloth, okay, before the feeding. Maybe you dunk it in some cold water with some cubes even, and then wring it out, put it in your bag. So you have a cool washcloth. Put it on their little head, right, to just kind of stimulate them a little bit so they'll eat. Okay, so that's a couple different ways you can stimulate them when they're feeling a little sleepy and they need to take their bottle. Okay, so now you're feeding them, okay? Let's say they, again, we talked about how much milk should be in the bottle. Your woman will tell you if she's breastfeeding how much the baby is eating and how much milk, right? So before, you're home during the day or it's going to be at nighttime and they're like, okay, the baby's eating 4 ounces now. So you'll go either to the freezer and look for the little pouches and either put 2 together, or maybe you found 1 pouch with 4 ounces in there. Before you go to bed at night, and if it was in the freezer, steep it in some warm water, okay? So it starts defrosting. So at night, you're not starting from frozen milk, all right? And put it in the bottle if it was frozen to get yourself ready. So they're like, okay, about 4 ounces. So you get the pouches, you put it together, and then you have your amount of milk. So let's just say you're feeding them the bottle and they don't quite drain all of it, okay? How long should you stay to really, should they drink all of it? Look, if your kid's if it's a relatively normal standard issue kid and things are going smoothly and they don't drain every last ounce of the bottle, it's okay. We want to read your baby, right? You don't want to force feed them the food, right? If you've been feeding them for a little while and they're not quite finishing it, my guidance is 15 minutes. Right? So let's say they've been eating and then they decided to stop and they're kind of tired or whatever, and you're doing the little techniques, and check your watch. 15 minutes of trying and they're just not eating within 15 minutes. That's a pretty good time where you can be like, okay, they ate, most of the bottle or half of the bottle, and you've been trying for like 15 minutes and they just don't want to eat anymore. You're good. Okay, 15 minutes. It's a good, solid 15 minutes of them at least eating some of the milk, and then they decided they didn't want any more. And they're not sleeping. They're just, you've been trying and trying and they just don't want all of it at that particular feeding. 15 minutes is a really good rule, a guideline, all right, where you could be like, you know what, babes, they ate some, but they didn't want to finish it, and you could know that you did a really good job, 15 minutes, and you can move to the next phase, which is going to be burping, okay? So here we go. This system here pretty much eliminates the lag time between hungry baby and fed baby, okay? And listen, they do sell these bottle warmers. Does that thing work? Yeah, it works 100%. It works. The thing with the bottle warmer, and maybe you have one of those, fantastic. It's going to end up in a landfill, okay? And having this thermos of hot water, you can go anywhere. You can be any place. You can go to your mom's house, the baseball game, the batting cage, the golf range. You're at a baseball game, you put the thermos thing at the bottom, fill it up, you're watching the game. You can have this thing anywhere. You are ready to be able to feed your kid and heat this bottle up to body temperature and eliminate the lag time, almost all of it, okay? Which is really, really amazing. So now let's talk about the next phase, all right? Hopefully, I hope you're feeling a little more confident. This is how this is the body position. We talked about 45 degrees, holding the bottle. You're not going to force feed them, right? This is the process here, all right? Next is burping. I'm here to share with you, every time I fed the baby, the first baby, she ended up crying. And we were like, what is going on, man? What is going on? Turns out I was not burping the baby. No one told me to burp the baby. I didn't know I was supposed to burp the baby. No one told me, okay? I didn't know. So now I'm here to share with you, every time you feed your baby, you're going to want to burp your baby, okay? And I'm going to show you 3 different styles to burp the baby. Okay, so number 1, you fed the baby, everything's cool. They either drained the bottle or you waited like 15 minutes of trying, okay? And you were like, you know what? I waited 15 minutes. They didn't want to finish it. And okay, I'm going to respect that, okay? So now let's burp Junior. All right, this is what this is going to look like. Number 1 is the old-fashioned style of burping, and let's put this on this side here, okay, which looks like this, over the shoulder, like this. And look, they can rest their arms over your shoulder. It's hard with Junior here with this, like this. That's a good baby, yes. Okay, over the shoulder. Style number 2 is having Junior on your knee like this. Okay. And because they don't have too much head and neck strength here off the bat, you're going to cup your hand like this on their jaw, on the jaw, not the neck, the jaw, like this. And you're going to tilt Junior over just like that. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. That's burping style number 2. Burping style number 3, okay, is like this. So you're going to have your burp cloth, put it over your knees, okay, both knees like this. You're going to put your knees together and burp them over your knee, okay? So their arms could be hanging over your leg like this, and their chin is kind of on your leg like this, okay? This is super duper comfortable for your baby, all right? Especially in the beginning. They sleep on their back, okay? We're going to talk about sleep in a little while. So belly time like this, and when we get to soothing, movement is super soothing for them. So you could be bouncing your knees like this. Aw, what a good boy. This is an excellent way that you can burp the baby. And when you're hanging out at home, you have guests over, you know, you're at the table, you know, having coffee in the morning. This is great. They're super secure. You totally have them. This is a great way to hold your baby. They love it. It's safe. They feel good. You're kind of moving them around and rocking them, which is soothing for them. Excellent, excellent burping and also chilling and hanging position for the baby. Okay? So now let's talk about how long to burp the baby for. Ultimately, you're really just looking for a burp. Okay? You want to hear them burp. Now, I'm here to share with you, they don't always make an audible burp, and you sometimes don't hear the burp. Maybe they burped and you didn't hear it, okay? So off the bat, you want to burp them until you either hear a burp, okay, and you will hear a okay, you're done. And if you don't hear the burp, again, with the guideline of 15 minutes, literally. So from the time I'm starting to burp, after I fed them and I determined they were done with the bottle, okay, if they drained it or you tried for about 15 minutes or so, burping time. You either hear a burp right away or you continue to try literally for 15 minutes. And you might want to try the different positions, okay, 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a really safe guideline. 20 already, it's a pretty long time. Below 15 minutes, you're kind of stacking the odds against you that they still need to burp. 15 minutes it just had seemed to be and is a nice guideline for knowing, okay, I've done my good college try here, 15 minutes, I can wrap them up and put them back to bed, okay? So there you have it, all right? You are very familiar now with heating up the bottle, eliminating lag time. You have a magical system to almost eliminate the lag time, body position, reading them, helping them to wake up at night to feed them, burping them. You're really poised to manage the task of feeding your baby like a champ, okay? Just like a hero dad.